All right, welcome to lesson 20. This is converting mixed unit measures. Our goal today is I'll be able to convert unit measurements and solve multi-step word problems. Hip hip hooray! All right, so you probably noticed that this is pretty similar to what we did in the last lesson, in lesson 19, but we're going to go a little bit farther with it. All right, so here's our first problem. We have 4 1/3 yard, and we're trying to figure out what that is in feet. Okay, so here you want to make sure you always ask which one is bigger. Okay, because that is kind of the key to what you have to do next. All right, so we're looking at either yards or feet. So this one is a little bit confusing for me sometimes. So I always think which one is bigger, a yardstick or a foot, or not a foot stick, oh gosh, a ruler, right? A ruler is about a foot. Which one is bigger? Yes, obviously the yardstick is much bigger, right? So here we're going bigger to smaller. Last lesson, we went from smaller to bigger. All right, so this one is a little bit different. So I'm going to show this tape diagram here just to kind of visually see what's going on, okay? So what I've done here is I have 4 holes and I have a third of one of the holes, right? So my whole of all of this all together is 4 1/3. All right, so that's what we're looking at here, okay? But in order to show kind of how many feet are in a yard, I'm going to make a small little one down here just to show that one of these is equal to how many feet there are, all right? So how many feet are in a yard? Hopefully you know this. Yes, 3 feet in 1 yard. All right, so it takes 3 rulers for a yardstick, okay? So this is 1 foot, and this is 1 yard. Okay, sorry, this is not 1 foot. These are 3 feet equal to 1 yard. All right, so now that we have that, now we can show 3 here just to give us our numbers, right? So 3 feet there, 3 feet here, 3 feet here, and 3 feet here. Now this is where it gets a little bit different because obviously 3 feet is not in 1/3 of a yard, but think about it. 1 out of 3, and we're talking about 3 feet, right? So how many feet here? 1 foot. All right, so let's look at our multiplication sentence real quick, right? We have 4 1/3. Hopefully I have enough room here. All right, 4 1/3, and we're multiplying by 3. All right, if you had any confusion on if it was supposed to be a fraction or a whole number, if you just look here at this tape diagram, right, you're just adding 3 4 different times. So repeated addition, multiplication. We're not multiplying by a fraction. All right, so here we go. I have 4 1/3 times 3. Let's go ahead and we're going to convert that into an improper fraction in order to solve it, all right? So I know that 3/3 is in 1 hole, but we're talking about 4 holes, right? So I'm going to multiply 4 and 3 and get 12, and then I have 1/3 here left over, right? So I'll get 13. So 13 thirds. Now, if you have a hard time figuring out going from a mixed number to an improper fraction, just let me know and we can talk about it, about how to do that. All right, so there we go. There's my 4 1/3 as an improper fraction. Sorry, I was not supposed to write an equal sign there. All right, so I have 13 thirds, and we're still multiplying by 3. Ooh, there's a lot of 3's going on here. All right, multiply by 3. Okay, so then you just do the same thing. You multiply 13 times 3 and over 13 times 3 over 3. All right, so real quick though, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to reduce right now because 13 times 3 is going to be kind of a big number. So remember we can do this, right? Or yeah, so 13 over 3, and look, 3 and 3. I'm going to go ahead and reduce that. Okay, so now, look at that. Now I can just do 13 times 1, and I get 13. Okay, so our answer is 13 feet. 4 1/3 yards is equal to 13 feet. All right, so This is the last time you're going to see this tape diagram here for this. So if you are confused by this, just let me know and we can talk about it. I'm going to go ahead and just solve it numerically from now on. All right, so let's look at a couple of these, and then this last one will be on your quiz. All right, so I have 2 1/4 feet is equal to how many inches? So I know that we have been multiplying by whole numbers in the last one, but I still want you to always ask the question, am I going bigger to smaller or smaller to bigger? So let's look. Feet, which one is bigger? Feet or inches? Yes, feet. Feet are bigger. So we're going from bigger to smaller, so we're going to multiply by a whole number. All right, so here we go, 2 1/4. Actually, I'm not going to write that out because I'm just going to put it into an improper fraction first. All right, but we need to multiply by 12. Why 12? Because there are 12 inches in 1 foot. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn 2 1/4 into an improper fraction, right? So I know 4/4 is the same as 1 whole, and 8/4 is the same as 2, and I have 1 more, so I have 9/4. All right, now once again, if I multiply 9 times 12, it's going to be a big number, so I don't really want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and extend here, right? And so I can actually reduce with 4 and 12, right? So 4 goes into 4 one time, 4 goes into 12 3 times. Oh, this is much better. 3 times 9. So our answer is 27 inches. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. We're going to do one more with, gallons and quarts. And then, there's the bell again. And then this last one you will do on the quiz. You're welcome, I gave you an easy one. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one. All right, so you're gonna ask yourself, which one is bigger, gallons or quarts? I know that these measurements are not very common here, but gallons are bigger. All right, so we're going from big to small, so we're gonna multiply by a whole number. All right, and you ask yourself, how many quarts are in a gallon? And there are 4 quarts in a gallon, so that's what we're going to multiply by. All right, but I want to turn my 3 1/2 into an improper fraction, right? So 2/2 is the same as 1 whole, and we have 3 wholes here, so it'll be 6 plus 1 because we have 1 out of 2, right? So we'll have, what did I say? 6, we'll have 7. 7/2. All right. So we have 7 halves, and we're going to multiply by 2. Once again, this is not going to be as big of a number, but I'm going to go ahead and reduce just because it's easier, right? So 2 and 4, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 twice, and then I multiply 7 times 2, and I get 14. So 3 1/2 gallons is the same as 14 quarts. All right, go ahead. I want you to pause here. You can go ahead and solve 1 2/5 of an hour is how many minutes, and then save your answer when the quiz comes. Then you can just enter in your answer. All right, so looking at problem 3, okay, you should notice something about this, okay? 11 feet, and I'm trying to figure out how many yards that is. All right, go ahead and think about it. What do you notice? All right, so hopefully you notice that we're going the opposite way now, right? Yards are bigger than feet, right? So we're going from smaller to bigger now. If that happens, we are multiplying by a fraction, all right? So here's our multiplication sentence. 11 times 1 foot, right? I'm just breaking it up. This was from the last lesson, lesson 19. All right, so I have 11 times 1 foot. So I'm going to take 1 foot and I'm going to go ahead and convert it. I'm going to rename as a fraction of a yard, right? So how many feet are in 1 yard? 3. All right, so I'm going to rename it as 1/3. And I'm still going to multiply by 11. All right, we can't reduce here, so I have to multiply 11 times 1. I'll get 11, amazingly, over 3. All right, we're not done yet though because we need to reduce, right? Or sorry, make gosh, what is it called? Mixed number, thank you. So we're looking at a mixed number. 3 can go into 11 multiple times. All right, so we want to make sure, we don't want to leave it here because we want to think in terms of whole numbers and fractions, right? So 3 can go into 11 3 times, and we still have 2/3 left over. All right, because 3 times 3 is 9, and 10, 11, we still need to show that. It's still in the number. All right, and there's our answer. 3 2/3 of a yard. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, we're going to solve this one together, all right, and then you'll have to do this last one here for your quiz, all right. I did give you a little bit of a harder one, but you should know how many quarts are in a gallon now. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. 5.5 feet is equal to how many yards? So it's a little bit different just because we have this fraction here now. Oh, and there's the bell again. All right, so, but we can still figure out what this is, okay? So 5.5, I'm gonna go ahead, write it on this side here, 5.5, right? And I'm gonna go ahead, multiply it by 1 foot. I'm gonna rename that 1 foot as a fraction of a yard, all right? So same thing. Sorry, I'm getting slowed down by having to write all this out with a mouse pad. It's pretty difficult. Anyway, so 1 foot, there are 3 yards in 1 foot. Nope, the other way around. There are 3 feet in 1 yard, so I'm going to show 1 out of 3. So the 3 on the bottom is showing the yards part, but we're only talking about 1 of those feet. So real quick, if we look at this mixed number and multiplying it by 1/3, is it possible? Yes, but let's go ahead and rename, just like we did back on the slides before this. I'm going to go ahead, we're going to make this we're going to make this into an improper fraction, right? So 2 halves is equal to 1 whole, and we have 5 wholes, right? So that will be 10, and then we have 1 more left over. So 11/2. All right, now we're going to multiply it by 1/3. All right, now this is a little bit easier, right? We can just multiply straight across our numerators and our denominators. So 11 times 1, we'll get 11. And on our bottom, on our denominator, we'll have 2 times 3 is 6. All right, are we done? Not quite yet, right? So we need to figure out how we're gonna put this into a mixed number, right? 6 can go into 11 one time, and we have 5 left over. All right, so almost 2 feet, but not quite. All right, and our units are yards. All right, so 5.5 feet is the same as 1 5/6 of a yard. All right, here we go. Last one. Problem 4. A container can hold 4.5 pints of water. How many cups of water can 2 containers hold? All right, so this is actually a 2-step problem. Okay, first of all, we have 4.5 pints, and my answer needs to be in cups. And second of all, it's talking about 2 containers, not 1 container, but 2 containers. All right, so I'm going to show this in a tape diagram. My favorite. All right, I'm going to show my whole 4.5. I'm going to go ahead and just point it there. There's the number, 4.5. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show 4.5 here. Right, 1, 2, 3, and 4.5. That doesn't really look like half, so let me erase it a little bit. All right, I want it to look a little bit accurate. All right, so there it's showing a half on this side. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show that this here is 2 containers. All right, now the reason why let's look at this real quick, right? So if it's a half, we're looking at 1 container. So pretty much all we're doing is we're doubling everything, right? Okay, so let's look at how I would write this numerically. So I'm going to go ahead and show 4.5. Okay, we're talking about pints. Okay, times 1. well, 4.5 pints, and then I should have separated them out. Let me blah, 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 blah. Right, let me see, let me put 4.5 here times 1 pint. Sorry, that was my bad. All right, we're just gonna separate that out. Ooh. All right, and PT actually is the real abbreviation for pint. All right, so then you ask yourself, we're gonna look at cups, okay? So what we're gonna do, something a little bit different. We're gonna show 4.5 times 2 cups. All right. Now I'm gonna do. I put 2 cups, right, because 2 cups is equal to 1 pint. So we've renamed. This was pints. Now we're in cups. All right. So let's go ahead. Turn our 4.5 into an improper fraction. So 4 and 2. If you guys haven't noticed, there is a kind of a trick. You can think about it in whole numbers. That's fine. Or as fractions, but you actually can do 4 times 2 to get 8, and then add in the first number, or the numerator, to get 9, right? If you think about that, all you're doing is 2 over 2 is 1 whole, and 2 over 2 times 4 is, 8, and then you have to add in your 1. So if you just want to be a little bit faster, right, you can do 4 times 2 plus 1, and then put your denominator, sorry, put your denominator on the bottom. All right, so we're still multiplying by 2. 2 cups is the same as 1 pint. All right, and look at this. This will be really easy, right? We can go ahead and rename here. 2 goes into 2 once, and even on the top. So 9 times 1 is equal to 9 cups. Now, if you notice, right, we showed our cups here. 2 cups is equal to 1 pint up here. So if you did it for all of them, we'd have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Right? But are we done? No, we're not, because it's asking how many can 2 containers hold. So what we're looking at right here is we're actually looking only at 1 container. Same thing. This number, 9 cups, is equal to only 1 of the containers, 4.5 pints. So because there's 2 containers, I'm going to have to go ahead and double it. Right? So 2 times 9 is equal to 18. So your answer, your whole answer, your full answer, the ultimate answer to this problem is 18 cups. All right, so hopefully this made sense. If not, go ahead, ask me questions in class. Go ahead, answer the questions on your quiz, and